2 minutos e meio para fechar a batalha.
Ora, boa tarde a todos.
Boa tarde. Isto é só 1 minuto hoje. Eu ponho o relógio a contar, aviso aos 30 segundos e depois faço os 10 para baixo. Ok.
Muito bem.
Último minuto, era ir parando de falar.
Não consigo ligar.
Então,
Olha esta.
Há 30 segundos.
essa é a mais utilizada. Essa é aquela da queimbra à mesa de jantar.
É tudo para o outro lado, certo?
Tudo.
A contar?
Conseguiste, António?
Estão-me a ouvir, não estão?
Sim, sim, sim.
Sim, sim.
Bom, vamos lá, malta, força aí.
30 segundos. Boa sorte para todos, pessoal.
Fazer correr bem.
Até à corrida, sim.
Dez, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Vamos embora todos. Acho que está tudo.
Ficou o Gouveia, parece.
Sim, está a 19 segundos. 18.
Ele já me apanha na corrida.
Vale a pena. Siga.
Não desista, tu já me apanhas na subida.
Não dá.
Mas o que é que aconteceu? Quando for assim tens de dizer logo.
Vai, não desistas. Tu apanhas-me na subida para lá agora.
Vá à frente um bocadinho agora, então.
Não posso ir a seguir.
Força.
Vá. Boa prova.
Já aí passamos a segunda volta, espera aí um bocadinho.
E é permitido?
Agora vou à frente um bocadinho.
A descansar, Nuno. Tá, cola, cola. Cola.
Cuidado aí atrás.
Já está a partir. Bora, Wesley.
Já não consigo.
Arranca.
Wesley, vens.
Já está cá. Já tem 4 segundos.
É o Paulo Rodrigues. Está a ficar para trás.
É seco.
Sigam. Tem 4.
Um bocadinho para a frente.
Ó, Rola, se quiseres podes ir descansar. Vou para segundos. WTRL Team Time Trial number 93. I'm Nathan Garrett, and Dave Toll is right next to me, and we are out on the Harrogate course for 2 lap 20. Oh, are we on Harrogate? Richmond, excuse me. Harrogate's next week for the. I've got ZRL.
Either way.
Still,
Either way.
I'm stuck in the 24 hours of ZRL. But
yeah.
Either way, a little bit of suffering out here today with something very similar, actually, I'd be honest, to as far as how difficult of a course we're looking at here.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know that there'd be much difference in my fear factor. If you said you're going to go race 2 laps on a team time trial in Richmond. They're both super, and, they're both World Championship circuits. They look to make them very tough. I think Richmond has that mix of flat versus severe climbing a little bit more than Harrogate, which isn't that just entirely climbing? My time's riding out there. I don't ever remember it getting easy on that course. But yeah, getting back to what we got in front of us, 32K, make it 33 for that.
Eu tenho que aliviar bocadinho. Se calhar é mais vale esperar por ele.
I don't know, Nathan. This one is a big challenge to me, a bit of a conundrum, if you will, in how you race this, right? Because what do when you hit Libby Hill? When you look at it, Libby Hill, 23rd, and Governors. Governors is a little more steady, but Libby, 23rd, they can blow a team up.
Yeah, it's pretty much essentially this course will favor riders who have a punch in the middle of that steady state effort or threshold type effort. You have to be able to punch over and over again. With Governors, but at the same time, if you can throw down a solid 5-6 watts per kilogram, especially in the front A espresso category, it will definitely benefit. If you're more steady state, you're going to lose a little bit of time, I think, on that back end. So, those who do have a little bit of a kick in the legs and can recover quickly from that, they're going to benefit a ton on this course. Let's go ahead and jump into the espressos right away here, Dave, and then get into a little bit more of the background about what happened.
Hey, you bet, Nathan. So, World Tactical Racing League, this is the 93rd consecutive week. They don't take Christmas off, New Year's, forget about it. They are every single Thursday. Big thank you to Martin and Stephen for what they do. So, that being said, 93rd week, these teams have cracked the code on how to do this challenging course. As we said, we can talk a lot about that. But really, right here, so a little concerning. You might say, well, they look great. Well, they do for these 4. But the problem is you start with 8. Your time is taken off of the 4th rider's wheel, so where are their teammates as we're just getting going? But Nathan, you've got the course records up here. If it wasn't socks for watts, you know the race happened a long time ago.
Yeah, we're seeing 45-30. Sérgio, passa para frente, tá bocadinho mais isso. Really close, actually, between the Vienna Espresso and Vienna Frappes. Vienna Lattes, they're currently holding down with a 50 for the course record, and then the Viennas, they're 54. For the men that we're looking at right now, the Dopios have a fast time of 42.12 with La Bamba. Dirty Rascals Riot in Espresso, 43.50. Two Guys Rim with a course record of 45.12. Lattes, Vikings Valhalla, and then it's going to be the Mocha class with the 2BR Z6 M1. So that's the current course records. We'll see if any of those do get broken in the Platinum League today. The most likely candidates would be the Platinum that would be able to break it. We'll see how it goes. 2020. Oh, in the Frappes, interesting. I think maybe that may be a little bit of an upgrade there for 2020. Maybe that's why. And it's now being 2024, obviously. But now looking at ECC, we should be getting some splits here. The splits will be at the markers, it looks like, I think 6K, 12, and I'll have to take a double check here, but we will be getting some splits here in just a moment.
I'm looking at that 45-33 that Socks for Watts had. Same course, same conditions, no variable changes. 42-12 is not the men's team out there. That is a very small gap, if you think about it. If you look at the most elite of sports, like the marathon, for example, that percentage between the top men and the top women is a little bit more, I would guess. I would need someone like Martin who's got a real brain on him to figure that out. But that just tells me how incredible Socks for Watts is and how good they are at this. There's a lot of technique that goes into team time trialing. We talk about Zwift efficiency. Well, It's a whole other thing. Nathan, it's one thing if you can make the watts, if you've got an incredible 20-minute power, but you're reliant upon your teammates out here. You said you start with 8. Well, there's not going to be 8 people that are going to make it to the finish. I would think if there's a team that makes it to the finish with 8, the reason why is because that was their goal, to finish as a team. If your goal is to finish with your fastest time, there's no way you bring all 8 to the line. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I think you do need to drop off eventually, unless it's your team would have to be extremely well-rounded,
Yeah, I mean, incredible depth, right? Yeah,
and
pay a lot
then,
for something.
Even then,
you're right.
Even then, a couple of riders sacrificed, especially very later on, just saying, whatever, I'm going to go full gas on a downhill.
Give it up for the team.
Exactly, and letting them go with a little bit of time left, that actually is probably better than coming to the line with 8, regardless, because that extra 8-9 watt per kilogram kick, whatever it might be, that's kind of a sprinter's kick that everybody can just hang on with, that's worth it, I think, to let them go.
Totally. Booster rocket, right? So this is that's when you're into your master class of racing, when you're sacrificing a rider at 2K to go to do exactly what Nathan was just saying, bring the speed up and just launch the guys, because we're not taking the time off of the 6th, 7th, 8th wheel, and once you're inside of 1K to go, there's no longer a worry about a technical or, something that happens. If something happens in that stretch, well, it's just incredibly bad luck. What are you going to do? It could happen to anybody at any time. So, wow, the team time trial it's funny when you look at the timeline of esports. This might be the most significant thing that happened as far as bringing people in, building acceptance. I'm talking specifically about the team time trial at WTRL. This helped launch the Zwift Racing League, which has been an insane success. The community numbers are bananas. But Nathan, it all started here. These were the roots. They say you plant an acorn and you grow an oak tree, right? Well, this was, I forgot if Martin told me, 6 or 8 teams. I think it was 8 teams that showed up the first week. Now, I didn't hear the numbers for today, actually, but typically we're in that 5,000 to 6,000 riders with 1,200 to 1,300 teams, and I expect nothing less. The Zwift numbers have been huge. Who do we have here, Nathan? Taking a look at pedal power, the Doppio category. So familiar names, the Extra Turbo Snails from Evo. We'll be looking for time checks. I can see that they've got them primed up and ready to go. 3 of them here at 8, 16, and 24. Okay.
Yeah, going to be in just a few moments, most likely, as we wait for the Zwift data to come on through. It is a little bit slow a lot of times. It looks like I'm getting a couple of messages saying it will be coming through eventually, but we got to wait a little while on the data here, everybody. So looking at Team Snooze then coming on through. Ram Racing have a little bit of a gap over them, but most likely because of the downhill. Things looking pretty even so far amongst these teams at this point. This is going to be an Espresso team, I believe. The Espresso, just as a heads up, the Espresso and the Doppios go out together in the same pen. So be on the, we will be mixing it up a little bit in this pen between them. Nicky Hug, though, on this team, that is a name to watch out for. And he's got the new Afro in game here. Yeah. So good to see. And that bike selection is really interesting as well. Not going with an 858, but an 808 with the zips there, and also on the Venge, which is definitely the fastest flatter bike. I think he's going to just depend on having, I think. It's not long enough to really go for a climber's bike or even an all-arounder.
So there's a gentleman named Kenneth Hill. Nathan, he's out of California. He's just become a passionate Zwifter in the last year. I think it's fair to say, absolutely loves when you talk about that kind of stuff. Right? Sometimes it goes even over my head, but he's trying to build up his drops and he's trying to figure all of this out. Why do you think so? Nicky Hug, if you don't know, is one of the best riders we have in the ZRL right now, right? I mean, I would say, he's one of those top 10 kind of names. So this is a huge amount of talent in this squad that we're looking at. Why do you think Nicky chose that bike? Give me that answer for Kenneth, because you'll blow my mind. But what do you think was going through his mind when he made that choice?
I think that Nikki knows that the Libby Hill climb, as well as the 23rd Street and even Governor's, is not long enough of a climb to take away from the gains that can be gained from the venge on the flatter section of the course. That most of the time on this course is spent on flatter sections. And so the amount of speed that can be gained from those flatter sections hugely outweighs over the breadth of the race those shorter you're looking at a 1:15, I'm going to assume that they're going to climb. Yeah. You're looking at about a 15 to 20 seconds, and then you're looking at maybe 2 minutes, right? Versus the rest of the course is going to be a half an hour. You know what I mean? Or something, or more, you know? So, I mean, there's so much more time that you are using the advantage of that flat, fast bike rather than those punchers. So, yes, there are these crucial moments, but now if this were a scratch race, though,
not for
totally
him,
different.
Because
totally different than a scratch race. Though.
Absolutely. Right, Nathan, I totally get it. Because, so, Nicky can do all of his heavy lifting when they're on the flat sections. If he's using this bike, he can go a little bit faster. Since the guys are all sitting in the draft behind him, that allows them to eke out an extra 10th or 0.2 of a kilometer per hour while Nicky is taking huge pulls. It doesn't matter if he pulls on Libby Hill or 23rd because, you know what, everybody's just going to be fighting for their own lives to get up that hill, right? It's no longer about somebody setting a fast pace on the front then. Does that dovetail into what you're saying?
Yeah, the advantages gained there from him being on that bike, they spread out throughout the entirety of the course rather than these short.
They give him a heavier hammer, right?
Exactly.
Because he's breaking concrete. The guys who are doing the fine work have a smaller hammer, and it all works out perfectly. This is a great sport. So I wonder why. So down to 4. This early. They might have only started with 4 because you don't have to have 8 to start. So that doesn't mean that they dropped 4 riders along the way. Maybe they started with 6. Sometimes I can look and figure out how many they did start with. I'll try to figure that out. But we're going to have...
I'll see if we might be able to take a look here and see if how many they had. We'll just head on over to the espresso board. I believe that's what they're riding in, Team Snooze. And they started, it looks... we don't have it just yet. We'll see if we can get it in here.
Yeah, sorry there. I think that... Yeah.
The data's just not coming through yet, so we got to wait on the Zwift data is what it comes down to. Cryogen now, let's go ahead and move our way back here. Obviously, Cryogen, one of the top teams. We talk about them a lot. It is going to be, we'll get the riders' names on here, and it is going to be Mosted that we're looking at for the Gulls. The Gulls always the top team amongst the Espressos. Riding? No, there they are. They're actually riding. They were the 4th seed. It looks like they're coming on in. And see if we can get some times coming through. Ram Racing and Jin, Team TFC Typhoons, Innovation Alien Monsters. I did see that we do have James Barnes out there streaming this race, actually. We'll see if we can bring in some of those images coming from his Twitch channel as well. Be on the watch out for Innovation Monsters, Alien Monsters. That's actually a new team name for them. I wonder if they've changed up a little bit to launch that team or if they're just switching week to week here.
Wait, you're telling me it took until the 4th week of 2021 before we had a team called the Monsters? There's probably been exactly. I can't quite say that, can I? Because there's probably been some variation of Monsters somewhere. I mean, how many rhinos do we have? There's probably a rhino monster team out there. Hey, did you hear Grace Smith is back, by the way? I think she's with Z Sun R. This cool outfit bringing her on. She broke her finger.
We saw her during the APAC. During APAC, I saw her hammering away just the other day. She was taking a bunch of sprints down over on course. It was great to see her back in action, actually. So,
that speaks to this community, right? You're always welcome back.